How many of you have heard of the Akashic Records? How many? Okay, let me ask the other way. How many haven't? Only one. Okay. So my favorite part of doing any of this is always Q&A. Okay. So how many people know what the topic is today? Exactly. Nobody. So that's interesting, right? So I actually channeled a book. I used to do a gathering, and I'm actually now doing one in a new location where I would have anywhere from 20 to 70 people come on a monthly basis. And we do a subject, and everybody that came never understood what the subject, or never knew what the subject was. It was just, we want to be a part of the energy that's going on. So while we have a subject today, it's just about, I don't know, getting you here. So there's a reason you're here, and that's the reason why I'm here, right? So I want to be able to answer whatever questions you might have. How many know what the Akashic Records are? So wait, before you answer that, I want to kind of just do a little presentation and share information so you're up to speed to a certain extent. And then I want to open everybody's records. So it's up to you. If you want, you'll say inwardly yes or no. If you don't, that's okay. If you do, great. And then you can ask questions. And I want to have an experiential, okay? So you can then, I'm not going to get everybody, right? So we'll have Spirit decide who gets to ask the questions and then give you a chance to have an experiential. Obviously, the question that gets asked or the questions that will be picked will be helpful to everybody, or some, more than just the person that's asking the question. Okay, perfect. Yes, who knows what the Akashic Records are? 1, 2. More or less, okay. So for those that are not familiar, so the Akashic Records are what's known, the term means primordial source. So it's out of which all things are created, okay? But it's also a recording device. So our aura, for example, right? Our energy field has the potential to record our soul's every thought, word, deed, action, etc. Since we individuated from source, okay? So you're everything. Now what's recorded there is okay, so we're in 3D. Everybody's familiar with being in the third dimension, right? And then we have 4, 5, and so on. Who knows how many we have? People think we know, and I don't think we do. And I don't think I have access to that information myself. So in 3D, we get the feeling of time and space in a linear way, right? So we have a past, we have the present, we have the future. When I look at the Akashic Records, I had somebody ask one time, and it was interesting. So I literally saw, remember an old-time record player? And you'd stack the records? And it was like, that's us. We're in the present moment only, right? Because the truth is there's only now. So the Akashic Records reside in now, only now, okay? So in linear time in 3D, it's kind of hard to say comprehend that, but when we get outside of that mindset and that understanding, we then go into what's called vertical time. So what does that mean? That means from this moment, from this place, here and now, I can access all the records. Okay, and so we often will, let's say, ask about, right, because people think records is only the past. That is the most boring session I ever did. There was one. One guy showed up. I mean, God bless him, right? He was like, that's what he thought it was. And he had all these, who was I there? Who was I here? And I was like, oh, I was going sideways. And it was an interesting experience because what I discovered and learned for myself was that it really wasn't helping now. And if I'm not bringing forward information that's helping me now, it's really useless. And we're wasting our own time, so on and so forth. So when we're ever accessing what we would call the past, it's so that it's bringing us into the next best step forward now. And if we're doing anything that has to do with the potential of the future, so it's not a guaranteed future, it's not predictive, right? It's potentiality. So the Akashic field is all potential, all possibility. How many people saw the movie, is it What the Bleep? Yes. Do you know? Hi, welcome. Thank you for sitting up here. Right, so What the Bleep, do you know, had the scene where she's standing there on the basketball court? Anybody familiar with this? So here's the main actress. There's like 100 basketballs on an entire basketball court, and they're all bouncing. So potentiality has to do with what's closest, what has the highest potential of becoming. So we live in a world of, right, all potential, but I'm not going to be a rock star this lifetime, right? The potential for that is now really low, let's say. And maybe it always was because it's my soul path or blueprint in this lifetime. So we're able to access what the potentiality of things are, right? High potential, low potential, middle. Okay, what do I need to do in order to make it happen? What are the chances of it? I'll give you an example. I did a session with, it was a friend's son, and he was in Northern California, wanted to start his own business, wanted to live there, so on and so forth. And he was like, well, I'm going to make it. I'm like, And he was like, no, I can do it without my father's help. And I was like, And so, so I speak with the Akashic Records, masters, teachers, and loved ones of you. All right? And so they're telling me very clearly for him that, no, you'll probably need about $500 help from your father to make it work. He didn't believe me. I was okay. And it was like 6 months later, I heard from his dad, yeah, he's getting about $500 a month help from me. I was like, yep, there you go. So they can help us know, right? It's like, oh, I know why. Because he was not having what they were saying. So he kept asking and asking, and it was just like, okay, what is it I'm not helping him answer? What's the question, right? And the question was, he was so intent on making it happen, I realized, oh, I need to figure out how, right? What needs to happen so that his dream can happen? And that's when you need help from your father. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So what else? Throw a question or two at me. Anybody?
Is this related to soul contracts? How
Yes.
does that fit in? Okay.
Yes. And what's your understanding of soul contracts?
It's just when you incarnate for this 3D life, you have decided to go through certain experiences and lessons and maybe fulfill stuff?
100%, right. So thank you for that. So the Akashic Records is, it's everywhere, right? So let's talk about where it's located. It's in our iridology. It's in our palm reading. It's in our face reading. It's in our astrology chart, okay? So even when you asked or mentioned that, right, it's like we contracted to have certain life lessons that are set up in our astrology chart. A lot of people are like, well, it doesn't dictate to me. No, it doesn't. But at a soul level, you came in to learn certain things, to have certain experiences. How many people have heard of Edgar Cayce? Perfect. He's known as the sleeping prophet. What did he access? 100%, right? I got to lay down in his chair or his chaise lounge. I actually got there. I know, listen, I get there. They opened the gate for me and said, would you like to lay down? And he said to me, all we've done is reupholstered it. I'm like, okay. So, and it felt like a coffin. Isn't that interesting? It's like a coffin. So he totally would, completely leave his body. So he was known as a sleeping prophet, for those that don't know. And he did thousands upon thousands of readings, and it was the Akashic Records he accessed, and he was brilliant and very medically based and did a lot of wonderful things. So, but Edgar Cayce said something that I really appreciate, and that's what's the difference between our destiny and free will, right? Destiny is you're going to have certain lessons. Your free will is when you learn them. Right? So we can set up the soul contract. We can set up things. And it's interesting because it makes me come to the place of, and a lot of people say this, the records, we come oftentimes to the record in our human self. I'm tired of this relationship. I'm tired of this health issue. I'm tired of my finances being a problem, right? We come with problems, and we're tired of them. And in our humanness, right, in our personality self, we don't get necessarily the bigger picture. But the soul's here for the bigger picture journey. So it's not about how do I get rid of, and that's our human self I want to get rid of, but rather we want to hear from them as to what am I learning? What is the purpose of this? How will I know, let's say, that I've actually gotten the lesson, right? And I've made it to the other side. Sometimes it is the money showing up. Sometimes it is the health going away. Sometimes that's the lifetime, right? I came here. So the topic today is actually life being a dance of mirrors, okay? So we come in here to actually support and reflect, both have reflections back to us and to be in service to ourselves and others. So for example, if somebody has a lifelong illness, it might be in support of, let's say, a spouse to learn that lesson of what it means to be a caregiver. And that's why I'm, for example, right, having a health issue that does this. So if I'm in my humanness going, I'm tired of this, I just want this to be over, right? Well, then you're missing, you'd be missing, right? You'd be like negating the purpose of why you came. And the other thing might be for the one who is having the health issue, what it means to receive, right? So these lessons are lofty. I remember about 25 something years ago, I decided life was not about lessons because I was sick and tired of hearing it. I was like, no, it's got to be something else for sure. I realized about it, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, I'm back around going, yeah, no, now that I'm thinking about it. So did that answer your question? Yeah, perfect. So how many people are aware and familiar with going through life, having experiences, and the one before you, the trigger, let's say, that you experience is a mirror for you? Okay. Do you know what that means when I say that? So, I'll give you an example. It's an interesting one, right? Because mirrors can show up, sometimes they can be immediate, and sometimes they can be lifetimes apart, which is what can make it really difficult for us here when we have an experience that we go, I didn't deserve that. Well, I might not have done something in this lifetime, but something's drawing it from another lifetime, right? I mean, have you ever met somebody and immediately been like oil and vinegar? Yes. Right? That's karmic. That's past life. It's like, I didn't meet you in this lifetime, but I've had some seriously interesting experience. I'll give you a personal experience. I was doing feng shui in Jupiter, Florida, long time ago. And I pull out, it's like a $5 million home, which is probably now 25 million. And I'm standing, I pull out my compass, my low pan, which is, by the way, at the table. And this gentleman from the architectural firm walks up. And I turn to look at him, and it's like I'd had a stroke. I could not, my mouth was moving, no words were coming out. I'm like, okay, we're talking like as if that just happened right here. There's no threat, there's no reason, there's no nothing. And I went back to find out. I was like, what the heck was that? And he had tortured me in a past life. Oh my God. Yeah, right? So the soul recognized. And it came reverberating out, and it was just like, whew, right? My whole being was like, oh. Obviously, most of ours are not that intense. What was my job? Forgive, right? Forgiveness. So I'm going to just let you all know. I actually have a class on my website. It's downloadable. It's a master class. It's called True Forgiveness. If there's something that we all need to be doing and make one of our best friends, it's forgiveness, okay? So anything that ever feels unloving, unkind, hurtful, painful, anything you've done, anything anybody else has done, doesn't matter, forgive it. That would be my recommendation. Because it's like a dissolvent, right? It allows things to wash away. Have you ever heard of A Course in Miracles? Yeah, if Jesus was, one of the statements he says is, I forgive this thought and it will disappear. Does anybody know that one? Great little, I call them back pocket prayers. Just have something memorized, right? Something you can just have as a go-to that just shows up, you know, somebody cuts you off in traffic or what have you. So, okay, so back to the mirror. So, working with a couple, right, doing coaching, and all my work is always within the Akashic Records, so I kind of delineate, right? So I do Akashic Records, I do coaching, personal life, executive coaching, as well as energy healing and actually Chinese astrology. So I'm working with this couple and hear from him, hear from him, hear from him, then I hear from her. And it was interesting because at some point she's now sharing, he wants me all the time. Intimacy, right? Intimately. He wants me, it's exhausting, you know, I don't know what to do, I'm busy. She's now carrying the household, right? So she's the breadwinner, he's not working, he's taking care of the children, roles had reversed. They were fine with this, so that wasn't the issue, but she's not available. And so she's feeling like, you know, it's constantly wearing on me, I don't know what to do, and he's feeling absolutely unloved, desperate, thinking, you know, my wife doesn't love me anymore. Fascinating, okay, so here's the mirror. Finally came out of her, she's like, and them, right? So it was like this connection, you know, I call it a battery connection. And what the guide said and what she realized too was that 3-4 years prior, the roles were reversed. He was the breadwinner. She was constantly needing affirmation and connection and wasn't getting it. He was never available. So the two, right, what we do in life is we want people to feel the way we feel. And oftentimes it's unconscious. You made me feel this way, now I'm gonna make sure you feel the way I did. And so we, right, subconsciously create issues, problems, etc., in order for each other to have the experience of both sides of the equation. Does that resonate? Does it make sense? Yeah. So when life triggers you, something's going on inside you. Okay? It's not the other person. And boy, we like that. I mean, we're conditioned, right? We're conditioned to protect ourselves. We're conditioned that they're the problem. We gotta stay away from strangers. We gotta, you know, all of that. And what I'm inviting you into today is a whole different conversation with yourself and with life. And that is to recognize that when you have a trigger, there's obviously something going on inside that's calling that forth. If there was nothing inside your being that could be, you know, feathers ruffled, stones turned, whatever, you wouldn't react. But when you react, it's telling you something's going on inside of me. Something's asking for healing, right? So who knows what healing means? Okay, homeostasis. Kind of interesting, isn't it? When you like, you have to just pause for a moment and go, yeah, what is healing?
Balance.
Balance.
Making peace within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What happened or how we reacted or whatever the situation was.
Nice.
I would just like not to be triggered. When it doesn't trigger me, I can just be like, peace, and walk away.
Right, and that's it, right? I'm healed when I know, right? When I'm not triggered anymore, right? So obviously there's more work.
I can't describe it though.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you, like, so it's interesting, right? So in the records, so healing is about correcting our misperceptions. Okay? So our misperceptions come from our fears, comes from our judgments, comes from, right, the beliefs, the unloving beliefs we have, or the unresolved emotional being that we have inside of us. Make sense? So when we're healed, we've come to that place of neutrality. We've come to a place where we have no judgment, where we don't have fear around something. And that's what the Akashic Records does, right? Working, at least the way I work in the records, right? That we're getting this wisdom download. We're getting this insight that either is a direction finder, right? What's your next best step? So that you know how to shift, heal, transform, whatever it might be, so that you can come to a place of peace within. And I am enough, right? And I love myself, okay? Any questions? So just to thank you for the question, yeah. It reminds me, I mean, it's not exactly, right? So I'm going to give a story. I did a session with a client and she was talking about work. And she was complaining about, I'm high vibe and everybody I work with is low vibe, okay? And I need to leave this place. And I've been in this position before. So it was like, if I remember correctly, she's now in her third job and they go from high vibe to low vibe real quick, I gotta go, right? So I was like, okay, let's slow this down, right? The guidance was, what's the mirror? What lesson do you need to get here now, right? So I love what Eckhart Tolle says. Who knows Eckhart Tolle? Yeah. What's in the way is the way. There is no way around or out, but through, right? So for example, they're showing up exactly the way they are perfectly for you. Your soul said, come in, behave this way. Come in, do this. Come poke me here, stretch me there, right? Trip me here. Kids, they trip us. So what I helped this client realize, it was like, wait a minute, what do you need to learn where you're at so that you can heal this, then leave it, right? And go into a place, a different person. So now you're going to attract a different energy. And we don't even know if she needed to leave, right? That kind of thing. So I'm just kind of giving you from that point. So trying to remember what her exact piece was. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's, I'm this, you're this. So it's a judgment. I'm better than you. So guess what? You're gonna have people show up that are either what feels like not as good as you, or you're gonna have just the opposite, or rather just the same. She's gonna meet people that they think she's not as good as them. Do you see? So, right, we can have a mirror, and the mirror is they're reflecting me exactly back, right? So it's like we wake up in the morning, we look in the mirror. We don't get mad at the mirror about what we see, do you? Does anybody here yell at the mirror? I don't think so, right? Might be nice and fun. How dare you? Hair's not looking good, right? Like get that ship shaped up. So we don't get mad at the mirror, right? We know there's something in us. So imagine that, right? When you're going through life and people are triggering you to go, okay, they're my teacher showing me something. Now, that's like walking beside, right? They're showing exactly what's going on in me. The second thing is they're showing me something. So for example, this is a strange example, but it's an example. Let's say somebody steals. Well, it doesn't mean you're a stealer, right? It doesn't mean you're a robber. It doesn't mean you are, but it can tell you, for example, like, oh, I have a belief that I need to give, right? Something that I don't want to give. Or, right? So kind of like that dependent piece, right? I don't want to give, but somebody's asking me to, but I don't want to. Does that sound familiar? Because it's interesting, right? We just kind of landed, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? So it's like when we have people that are dependent on us, it can be a couple of things. One, I'm not valuable unless I'm giving. Two, you might need to learn how to receive, right? Especially if we're getting angry about it. Like I had a client, it was just like all he was good for in his family and friends was his money. And it was just like irritating him, but it was about him. They're showing up to help him recognize what's going on within him that's attracting that into his life. Does that make sense? Okay. How are we doing? Are we good? How are we doing on time? Okay. I want to open the records for everybody. Is everybody ready for that? Yes, ask a question.
It might be a stupid question, but
No. No stupid questions.
Does everybody have access to the records?
100%. Thank you for asking that. We all have a natural birthright. I just do it my way, right? And it's not just my way. I mean, I was trained. And you'll hear a sacred prayer. So I use the sacred prayer and your permission. And you'll hear me say it out loud. Then I'll be silent for another minute, continuing to open your records. You good? And yes, everybody does, right? So yeah, go ahead.
And I have this very deep feeling and intuition that in a past life, like, I'll be honest, I'll open up with you all. I know that I'm attracted to men, but it's very hard for me to open up and trust men.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very strongly that in a past life, I was murdered by my lover. I don't know how I know that.
Right. You just know it's
I know that.
wired in you.
And I feel like it was very specifically in Egypt. Mm-hmm. Is that like access to those records?
100%. Right. So that's like a deep knowing.
Yes.
Right. And so we have the clairs, right? Clairsentient, clairaudient, claircognizant, all of that, right? So I do have all of them, but my strongest is knowing. Sensing and knowing, they're kind of tied. So there's a knowing. Right? Do you ever just like have a knowing? You're like, where do I know this? I just know it. You don't need a piece of paper. You don't need somebody else telling you. That is you accessing your own soul, your wisdom, your heart, right? Yeah, yeah. And trust it, right? Everybody, hey, how are you? We all have something different, right? So it's like some people feel it in their body. It's interesting. I feel in my body, but I also like just comes straight down. I was setting up my home and setting up a healing space in 2014, and I literally, so this like came plowing into my crown chakra. I literally ducked, you guys. I ducked and looked up, and I was asked to do something called Christ-like transmission. So it's like Reiki, but different. And so I was doing that, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty strong. Okay. So that's how I often get communicated through crown chakra. But other people, right, it could be your gut. So it's like, I just know it. Like have you ever like tried to walk forward and your body won't let you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
That's in my solar plexus.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, when it feels good and strong even, right? So we don't just have, heaviness and not so loving stuff. We got some great stuff too. So we're just often talking about healing because we want to be better or have a more joyful experience in life. Does that make sense? Okay. We're going to open the records now. And I'm going to let them directly answer it. They're talking now, but we're going to let them directly answer. May I have your first name? All right, you guys. I'm going to close because, yeah, thank you all. Thank you. So let us thank, we're going to thank, hold on. So we're going to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones, angels, and soul of all of us, for all the love, wisdom, insight, guidance, and healing today. Amen. 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 Okay, your records are closed. If you want to swing by the booth, I do long distance, and I'm in Manassas, so there you have it. That was quick.